Alright guys, good evening everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we are going to be doing a video on CSS. So today is going to be all about CSS, introduction to CSS and everything about CSS. So before you start watching, if you have not liked if you have not subscribed to my channel, please subscribe and please do well to like these videos. Your liking my video goes a very long way, and please like, subscribe and share and leave a comment if you feel there's something that I should improve on. If you feel there's something I should change, anything at all, just leave a comment and I'll really appreciate and respond to you. So this is what we are going to be doing today on CSS. First of all, what is CSS? CSS means cascading style sheet, and it is used for styling. It is a style sheet. Again, CSS is not a programming language just like HTML. It's just used for styling. It is used to style your HTML. I honestly don't know if CSS is used with anything other than HTML, but definitely it is used with React, it is used with different things, but all those things are still they are built on top of HTML, you understand? Like in React now it is JSX, you use CSS with React, but still JSX is the integration of HTML and JavaScript. So you find out that when you are styling, even when one of my friends was coding with Flutter yesterday and he was talking about flex, he was talking about stuff like that. All these things CSS, you just need the core concept of CSS one way or another. So must I learn CSS? Must you learn CSS? Because I've already learned it. So must you learn CSS? Nobody will point a gun to your head and tell you to learn CSS, but if you have learned HTML, then yes, I can tell you categorically that you must learn CSS, because HTML on its own would not take you anywhere and it is not good looking. So yes, you must learn CSS, and even if you don't want to learn CSS, I don't think you can even learn CSS frameworks without having the core foundation in CSS. So some people will say I don't know CSS, I know Bootstrap, I don't know CSS, I know Tailwind. All these things are still CSS, and I don't think you can really call yourself an expert in any framework of CSS if you don't already know the concept of CSS, pure CSS. So are there alternatives to CSS? Like I said, if you don't want to do I'll say vanilla CSS, like you don't want to code your CSS from scratch, there are other frameworks that you can use, other CSS libraries, but you still have to understand the basics. You still need a sound knowledge on the basics of CSS. So are there alternatives to CSS? I would say no. Because if you need to learn something before accessing the alternative, then you not really call it an alternative per se. So what next after CSS? It really depends on you, because for me, after CSS I went to JavaScript, but it depends on you. It depends on the path that you want to take. So you might be learning CSS to become an app developer, or you can be learning CSS for anything at all. So if I want to advise you subjectively, I would say JavaScript, but the choice is yours. Let's dive in. So first of all, as we always do, I like starting from scratch. So like you guys will say, I don't know how we did it. So I always do a new folder, and I can say CSS crash course, enter. Okay, sorry, so I'll right click on it and open with code. So at this point you should already have VS Code on your system. VS Code means Visual Studio Code, so I will not really talk about that. So I'll enlarge it as always. trust the authors. I'm expecting a pop-up box, but before it comes, I'll create a folder. Okay, yes, I trust the authors, and I can say start.html. So this is going to be our HTML file. So we are going to create dummy content. We're going to create dummy content, then after creating dummy content, we now start styling it differently. So that's what we're going to do. So I'll just use my exclamation mark and click enter. We already know what all these are for. If you don't know, please watch and again, CSS has a prerequisite. You need to know HTML. Yeah, so you cannot just dive into this video without having a knowledge of HTML. I should have put that in that stuff that I showed you guys just now, but it's cool. So please, if you don't know what HTML is, you cannot be comfortable here. So please, I advise you to watch my video on HTML first. Not only my video, just know HTML before coming to CSS. Yeah. So I'll click on this go live. If this is a live server, again, I showed this on my HTML video, so you can just go and watch it. But in case you don't know what it is, just come here. Then it is an extension that I installed, so it is live server. So you just search it in here, live server by Retweet, then you just install it. Should not give you stress. So this is the file that I've opened. I can show both my screens at the same time now. So what I want to do, I just want to put in some dummy content first. So I can say CSS class. Once I save it, I will update the title. So first off, I'll put some h1. Yes. I'll put a paragraph. I'm putting 3 paragraphs. Adding extra paragraphs. Let's see. Let's just add a few more. Okay, so we'll go with this for now. So this is what I just did. This is something I just have here. So we'll still work on. We are still going to probably still have more HTML as time goes on. But let's just work with this. Let's just work with this for now. So before we dive into the CSS, I just want to give you guys like a pathway. So it's not that will just be, so there will not be anything that's in my head that I'll just start teaching you guys. So I want to show you guys the pathway so that you guys will know, okay, this is the next thing that is going to happen and stuff like that. So, alright, so this is what we are going to be doing for this CSS. So first thing is CSS selectors. After CSS selectors, we go to font styling, then we go to text styling, list styling, colors and background, width and height, CSS box model, CSS positioning, pseudo selectors, CSS transform, CSS transition, CSS visibility, CSS debugging, and finally CSS tips. So this is what we are going to be covering today. So if you already have a little bit of knowledge on CSS, you notice that I did not put flex and grid here. So it is something I did not put because I planned. It is something I did not put because I plan to have a separate video for them. So I'm going to have a separate video on CSS Flexbox and CSS grid system. So there'll be two. Even this video set, it's looking like something that might be up to 3 hours, but I don't know yet. Let's see. So hopefully it's not that long. I don't know. Let's just go with the flow. So CSS Flexbox and CSS grid will be in other videos. So just stay tuned. Alright. So let's move on. For CSS, before you start putting CSS, you have to understand how to put it. So there are 3 ways of adding CSS to your page. So we have inline CSS, we have internal CSS, and we have external CSS. I'll come again. We have inline CSS, we have internal CSS, and we have external CSS. So inline CSS is the one with the most power. Like on hierarchy list, it is number 1. It is nothing can override something that you used inline CSS to do. The only thing that can override it really is JavaScript, unless you use JavaScript to override it. But if you don't use JavaScript to override it, nothing in I don't know say heaven and on it, but nothing can override anything that you use for inline CSS. So it is the most powerful, and it is not something that you would typically use. It is just on special cases that you use inline CSS. So for inline CSS, you pass it as an attribute. You pass the styling in as an attribute. So I've talked on attributes in my HTML video, so I'll still talk a little bit on it. So I said styling is for referencing the tag. It is also for changing the form of the tag. Like when I say form, I don't mean like HTML form. I mean like changing how the form would changing how the tag would appear. Then it is also to give the tag extra information and let's say functionality. So in this case now we are going to use it to in this case in CSS we are going to be using attributes to reference a tag, but for inline CSS it's used to change the form or the appearance of the tag. You understand? So for this example, for my next trick, I'll be changing this paragraph, one of these paragraphs here, to from black to red. So how am I going to do that? I'm going to pass the styling as an attribute. I can say style is equals to, I can say inside this quotation marks, I can say color in colon, then I can choose whatever color. So I can see blue, then I'll put in my semicolon. So you can see it is now blue. You can see this one is now blue. So this is the first way of using CSS. So first of all, this is the CSS property. Then this is the value that I'm passing that I'm passing into it. So this color, it just changed the text. So it just change this color property just changes the color of a particular text or the elements that you use this on. So you use it on you mainly use it on text. If you use it on a container, it is just going to change the children. It is just going to change the color of the children inside that container. Yeah. So this is the first way to do it. So this is inline CSS, and it is not only color that you can do. I can come over here and say style is equals to, then I can say font size. Let's say font size to be 20 pixels. So once I save it, you see this one got bigger. It is not only one styling that I can add to a particular tag. So I can still come here. I can also say font width bold. If I save it, it will get bold. Then I can also say color pink. Then it is okay. This pink is too pink. Let's use purple. So you can see it is now purple. So you can see that I have added three things. I first of all changed the font size, I changed the font width, and I changed the color. So you can see that it is already getting messy. Imagine I wanted to add more styling to this thing. It will now start making my HTML code to be messy. That is why inline CSS is not the best. It's not the best style of CSS to. It's not the best way to add CSS to your HTML file. So, and again, you also notice that all these things, they are individual. So imagine I wanted all the paragraphs on my page to be purple. How am I going to do that? I'll now have to come and do color purple, color purple, color purple, color purple. That will not work. So I need it will work, but that is not efficient. So I need a way to, reference all my paragraphs and like passing the style once instead of doing everything over and over and over again. So that is why that is where internal CSS and external CSS comes in. So for internal CSS, you make use of the style tags. So I can say style. So my style tag, this is my opening style tag and this is my closing style tag. So creation of tags should not be new to you because I assume you already have knowledge of HTML. So the first thing that we're going to so when you are using CSS, internal CSS, you now start referencing. You now start using references. So you can, that is where CSS selector comes in. So if I go back to that thing that I showed you guys before. So if I go back to this, you see the first thing that we're doing is CSS selectors. CSS selectors, this is what we are talking about. So you start referencing whatever you want to style. So let's say I want to style all the paragraphs of my page. I want all the paragraphs to be red and I want them to be bigger. So I can just say P. So this is the tag. P is the name of the tag. Then I can open my curly braces. So this is my paragraph tag. Then I can write in color red, font size children. So once I save it, you can see that all the paragraphs on my page, they are now red and they now have a font size of 2. So you notice that this one is blue and this one is purple, while everything else is red. All the paragraphs, they are red. So why are they red? This is because of the inline CSS. Remember I said the inline CSS is highest in hierarchy. So internal CSS cannot override inline CSS. So you can see that all the paragraphs now, they are now red. You can see all of them are red because of this particular style. You understand? So I'm just going to okay, let me leave it for now. So let's say, for example, now this paragraph, this style now, it affected only the paragraphs, right? What if I wanted some list to be read? Let's say I wanted a list to be read, I wanted a H1 to be read, and I also wanted a paragraph to be read. How would I have done that? So I'll just remove this. So I can see I've removed the paragraph now. So if I want different tags to have the same styling, I'll have to reference the tags that I want to have the styling. You understand? So if I want this H1, if I want this paragraph, and if I want this list item to have one particular styling, I'll have to reference 3 of them. I'll have to give them a name that I can use to reference all of them. It's just like giving them a family name, a class name. So literally a class name. So I'll give this one a class. So I can say class. This is another attribute. So remember I said attributes, they can be used for referencing. This is exactly what I was talking about. So, and class names, for class, the name is just up to you. You can give it any name you want. So I can just say ant. So anything, so if I want to style this H1 now, I can reference this particular tag with this particular class. So when you are using a class, you use full stop. In CSS, when you are using a class, you first of all put full stop, then you put in the name of the class, right? Then you open your brackets. So I can now say color green. So once I save it, you can see this H1 is now green. So if I want anything else to be green, what will I do? I'll just give it the class of ant. So I can come here, I can say class ant. If I save it, you can see this one is green. And if I come here and I give it a class of ant and I save it, you'll see that this one is also green. So I can now edit. Let's say I want 3 of them to be at the center of the page. I can just say text align center. Once I save them, you see 3 of them are now at the center of my page. I can underline them. I can say text decoration underline. 3 of them will be underlined. Then I can say let's just leave it like this for now. So you can see, if I want anything else to have this particular styling, it's as simple as just putting the class name on it. So I can say class and you can see 4 of them now have this particular styling. If I give this class of ants to this one that already has inline CSS, it is just going to take the one that it can take. For example, now it is going to, okay, let me show you guys. So this one is already blue. I can say class and so once I save it, right, you can see it got underlined, it got to the center, like it got centralized, but that color blue still remains. Why? Because I cannot overwrite this color blue that I gave it because it was inline, but I can add extra style into it. So supposing here I said text align left, or let me say inside my style now I said text decoration none, text decoration, then I can say none. I'll save it. You see this inline CSS is always going to override and overwrite any other CSS that I put inside. So that's just it. So after internal CSS, so I'm sure you guys already get the graphs of internal CSS. And again, I've taught you guys about using classes. So classes is when you want to style different tags. If you want to style the same tag, everything on the same, if you want to style the same tag, or the same tag, you want to give all the tags on your page the same styling, you just use the tag name. So let's say I want all the list items, I want all the li tags on my page to have text align of right, or font family of monospace. So once I save it, you see, let's increase the font size. Font size is, let's say, 1.5 rem. So once I save it, you can see that all the list items on my page, they now have this, you can see the font family is kind of like, it's different from this one. So this is list item, and this is a paragraph. So you can see that if I want to style tags of the same type, I can use the tag name. If I want to style tags of different type, I can just give them particular classes and use the class to style them. Or if I want to now style tags individually, like I want to style one particular tag, I want to make it unique, right? There are two ways I can do it. I can just use inline CSS, but that inline CSS, I'll always go against it, because there are sometimes that you want to style something very, very uniquely, right? You want to give something a very, very unique styling, and it will not be, if you are using inline CSS, it is just going to make your HTML page too bulky. So I'm going to share an example. So let's say this is a button, right? I want to create a button. And say click me. Everything is in small letter. So this is my button. So let's say I want to transform this button. I want to convert this button. I can say button, right? Then I can say background color blue. I'll say that it is going to be blue. Color white. It is going to be white. I can say margin left of 100 pixels. So it's going to have margin left of 100 pixels. I can say border none. You can see how many styles I am putting on this thing now. You can see 4. You just imagine I had to put these 4. Let me continue. You see, then I can say padding. I can say 10 pixels. Okay, I can say padding 10 pixels. Then I can say width, which should be 100 pixels. I can say text transform, uppercase. Then I can say border radius 10 pixels. So you can see how I've styled this button. Then if I hover on this button itself, it is still, you can see it is still my normal mouse. So I can say cursor pointer. So once I say that, you can see it now has this pointer. So you can see how many style rows. This is 1, 2, 3, 4. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this is 9. So imagine I had to put these 9 of them inside here. So I would have come to say style, then I'll say background color, this 9. It is going to make your HTML very, very bulky. You understand? So if I want to style something individually, inline CSS is not the best way to go about it. So there's something called ID. So it is another attribute called ID. So just so like this button now, if just imagine I add another button here. If I add another button, then I say danger. Then I say danger and I click on save. This is not the, just imagine you see a danger button like this on your page. You'll be tempted to click it because this is not, let's say this was green now. Let's say this was green. Just imagine seeing a danger button that looks like this. You'll be tempted to click it, right? So there are sometimes that you need individual styling for individual elements. So that is where ID is now coming. So I can come here and give this button an ID. So I can come here and say ID, then I'll give it danger or don't. I can just say danger. So IDs, it can be anything. You can choose anything to give it. I'm just using danger because of what I want to illustrate here. It can be anything at all. You can use, I can say earpiece. I can say earpiece, right? I just want to show you guys that you can use anything for the ID at all. Just don't put space. Just don't put space. This thing just means that you are giving it two different IDs, ear and piece, which does not make any sense because you just need to give one thing only one ID. So you can give something different class. So I can come here, I can say, I can put ant and list item. I can give this thing two different classes. So this thing just means it has two different classes. It has ant and it has list item. So I can use this this class of ant to start with, and I can also use this class of list item to start with. So I'll just show you guys. So I already used the class of ant. I can also say list item, then I can say border 1 pixel solid black. So once I save that, you can see it now has 1 pixel solid black. So you can give something multiple classes and it makes sense, but there's no need to give something multiple IDs. Why? Because IDs are unique to tags, you understand? So remember, for classes, I could give this class of ants now, I give it to like three different tags. But for ID, you are not supposed to give two tags the same ID. So if you are giving something, ID means identity. So if you are giving something an ID, that it is supposed to be unique to that particular tag. So as I'm giving this button the ID of earpiece, I am not supposed to give it another ID. You understand? I'm not supposed to give any other thing another ID of earpiece. I'm not supposed to give any other tag another ID of earpiece, and I'm not also supposed to give this button another ID, because this one ID is sufficient. It's just like somebody having two NIN or two math number in school. It doesn't make any sense because one is sufficient for you. So what brought us to this whole topic of ID is because I can come here now. Let me just use this earpiece. So remember, for class names we use full stop. You can see for this list item and ant we use full stop, but for ID we're going to use hashtag. So we'll say hashtag, then earpiece, then I can say a background color red. So once I save it, this now looks like a proper danger button, and it did not affect this button. Why? Because I gave this one a particular ID. So I can now even style this one more. Let me say I wanted this one, I want this one to be bigger. I can just say width should be 150 pixels instead. You can see it is now bigger. Then you get, so when you use ID, when you give something an ID, it is meant to be, when you give a tag an ID, that ID is meant to be only for that tag. And if I give a particular tag an ID, and I give that particular tag a class, the ID is going to override the class. So in hierarchy, ID has more power than class. The only thing that has more power than ID is inline CSS. So when we are not using inline CSS, nothing has more power than ID. Yes. So I'll just show you guys an example. So let's say I remove this earpiece now, then I just come and give this this one a class of bro. I just give it a class of bro. So if I come here and I say bro, I can see background color Peru. So once I save it, you can see currently it is Peru. But if I come here and I now use the ID earpiece and I say background color red, So once I save it, the ID is going to override the class. So basically this is it. So this is for external, sorry, this is for internal CSS. So like I said, we have inline CSS in which you pass in the styling as an attribute. Then you have internal CSS. Internal CSS just means that the styling is inside your HTML document, they are embedded inside the style tags. Then for external CSS, you create a whole new CSS file altogether, then you link it to it. So what am I going to do now? I'm just going to come here and I'm going to create a new CSS file. So I can say style.css. So again, when you are creating your files, please don't put space. Please don't put space. Please don't put space. Don't put space. Just use normal. If you want to use two words, you can use Pascal case, you can use camel case, or you can just use underscore to separate your words. Thank you. So let's say I can style the whole body. So I can say body. Remember, this body is a tag. This body here is a tag, is a valid HTML tag. So I can style the body. So I can say body background color and say gray. I can say gray. Let's make it light gray. This is one of the perks of Visual Studio Code. You can edit colors. So you can see I am saving it, nothing is working. Why is it not working? Because I have not linked this CSS file to this HTML file. So how do I link it? I can just come here, say link. So you can see the relationship for this one now will be style sheet. When we're doing HTML, I showed you guys one that the relationship was icon. If you want to change this particular icon here, so this one, the relationship is style sheet. So I can just come here and say style.css. That is the name of my CSS file. So once I save that, you can see that the background color has changed from white to gray. You can see that the background color has changed from white to gray, and you can really see that this thing is looking kind of nice. You can see the magic touch of CSS. Just let's say we just remove all the. In fact, we are going to even remove it so we can start afresh. So just imagine we just removed everything here. And remove this style. You can see how then the inline styling. So you can see how basic everything will just be. You understand? So this is why you need CSS, so that you'll be able to give your page more beauty. Exactly. So that's just it. So I'll just come here. Okay, so let's go to CSS proper now. So most of our style will be doing them from this external CSS. We'll be doing them from external CSS. So now that we understand CSS selectors, let's move on to the next thing. So the next thing is font styling. So we are going to do font. The next thing is font styling. So let's go. So first of all, with font styling, like I said, I can just come here. I can say body and just so this is the background color of the body. Let's use this background color. So I can say font size. The font size of everything should be 10 pixels. If I save that, you can see the font size of everything is going to be 10 pixels, right? The font size of everything is going to be 10 pixels. So I can edit the font from the container. So if I edit the font from the container, everything inside that particular container is going to take this particular font. So I have divs and section on my page. So I can just come here and say div. Then I can say font size font sizes, it should be 20 pixels. So once I save it, everything inside the div, these two paragraphs that are inside divs, so they will be 20 pixels. So you can see that this is still on CSS selector somehow. So you can see that I can style CSS tags from their container, from the parent container. So I can do that. So if I want to style everything in the body, I'll just come to the body tag and put in the particular styling that I want. You understand? So I'm just going to remove that. So you can see that I can change the font size. There are other things that I can change too. So I already have class of ant on some things. I have class of ant on this on my h1 tags, then on this on some paragraph tags too. So let's do that. So I can say ants. So I can say font size. Okay, I've already done font size. Let's say font family. So I can change the font family. Let's say, and again, if when you type font family on VS Code, it is going to give you some options. So these options are just like some browsers. It is not all the font size. It is not all the font families that they support. So you can see Cambria, Cochin, Georgia, Times, and Times New Roman. So most of all these things, they are in the same family. But if the browser does not support Cambria, it will support Cochin. If it does not support Cochin, it will support Georgia. So this is what I understand from it. So, and I think this is what it is. So if I save that, you can see that it now has a different. You can see the header tags. They now have different styling. If let me remove this the class of ants from one of them. So you can see that both of them, the styling, the font sizes, sorry, the font family is different. So I can edit the font family. I can also edit the font size. So I can edit the font size. I can say 2rem. So you might have seen that sometimes I'll use rem, sometimes I'll use pixels. I can even use em. So what is the difference? So rem is like the default font size for the browser is 16 pixels. So when I say the font size should be 2rem, it just means that it should be 32 pixels. 2 times 16 is what? 32. So if I were to say h1 font size, okay, let me say font size is 16 times 3 is what? 48. So I can say font size 48 pixels. So if I say that this one is going to be this is the one that has the style of ant. So you can see both of them are going to be 48 pixels. Both of them are going to be 48 pixels. This one is 32 pixels. But if I say something like 3rem and save it, both of them are now going to be the same size. So 3rem just means 3 times 16, which is 48, and this one just has 48 pixels by default. So that's what's happening. So you can see and this styling does not affect. I put a font size of 10 pixels on the container, but it does not affect the ones that are already changed. So classes have more styling. So this is how it is. If you use a tag directly, it has more power than if you style it with the container. Right? So if I style a paragraph, it is going to have, like now, okay, I style this h1 here. It is going to have more power than me just styling everything inside the body. Then if I give it a class, the class has more power than me just styling all the h1s on my page. Then if I now have an ID, the ID now has more power than the class. So CSS hierarchy, containers have the least power. Then after containers, we now have tags. After tags, we have class. After class, we have ID. After ID, we have internal CSS. Internal CSS. So after ID, we have inline CSS. Basically, that's just it. Then also one thing I want to tell you guys is that CSS works from top to bottom. So if I say font size of 48 pixels, then I can come and change it to font size of 28 pixels. This 28 pixels is going to override the 48 pixels. So CSS it works from top to bottom. It is going to give it the style at the top. Then after it gives it the style at the top, it is now going to give it the style at the bottom. You understand? So, but the hierarchy, the CSS hierarchy still takes place. So even though I give something, if I style something with the ID at the top, then I come and change the class I come and use the class to change the styling at the bottom, it is not going to work. Why? Because IDs will always override classes. I hope you guys understand. So that's just it. So I'm going to let's continue. I'll just remove this one. I'll also remove this one. So we can change the font family, we can change the font size, we can also change the font width. Font width, you can see bold. So once I save it, focus on this one, you can see this is now very, very bold. If I were to give, so this one is now very, very bold. I think something else. Okay, this one also have the class of ant. You can see how bold this one is. So I'm not going to cover everything. I'm just going to be covering the most important one. And the most important things that you use for font, you have font family, font size, font width. Mainly, those are the things that you need. So you can also come and check most of all these things by yourself. Most things, there are some things that I've never used. I've been coding for at least 4 years. I have never used font synthesis. I have never used most of all these things here. I just stick with my font size, font family, font width. Even font style, I don't use it that much. I just stick with font family. So font style, that's where you have all these italic, normal, oblique, and other stuff. So if you want to make it italic, you do it like this. Or I just stick with font family, font size, font width. Font style is also good in case you want to italize something. So this is cool. So this is about font style. So the major ones you need is font family, font size, font width, and font style. So let's move on to the next thing. The next thing is text styling. The next thing is text styling. So let's go to text styling. So for text styling, we can give some classes. Let's create more tags. Let's say h2. Imagine that. See, let's create h3 css this css is the suite, so we can use this too for now. Then so I want to give these three the same class. I'll say class of text tt. Let's say text 00. So this is also a valid CSS style. Just don't start. Sorry, this is also a valid CSS class name. Just don't start the name with a number. And yeah, don't start the name with a number. So I can do this. I can do class text 00. Then I can just look for one lucky. This is my lucky guy. This one's at the bottom. So I'll save it. So I can come here and style with the text. So I can with the class. I can say text 00. So I'm text styling. So you can style the text. You can change the format of some of the text. So I can say text transform. So if I want to change it to all capital letters, I can just say uppercase. So once I save it, everything is going to be in uppercase. You can see, imagine that is in uppercase. CSS is really sweet is in uppercase, and this Lorem Ipsum, the Lord Sit Amet Concerto is also in uppercase. So if I want to make only the first letter in each word to be uppercase, I can say text transform, capitalize, and once I save it, you can see only IT is in uppercase, CIRS is in uppercase, Israel is capitalized. This SS here is why this one is capitalized is because when I was writing it, I put it in capital letter, so it is not going to turn it to small letter. It is just going to make all the first letters capital letter. All the first letter of each word capital letter. It is not really going to turn anything to small letter. So you can see this LITSACAEI, everything in capital letter. Then if you want to make everything to be in small letter, you can say text transform lowercase. So once you save it, everything is going to be in lowercase. So if you use lowercase, every single thing is going to be in lowercase. So this is about text transform. And again, same thing as font. You don't need to know everything. You don't need to know every type of text styling that you can use. Just know the most important ones. And you don't even need to cram itself. Once you are using it over and over and over again, it is going to stick to you. And there's no law that says you must know everything. There are some times that you forget something. You just go online, you just browse it and you see it. These days, everything is easy. Everything has been made very, very easy. Now, there's even AI. In my time, there was no AI. If you don't know anything, you go on Google or use Stack Overflow to get it. So, you guys, in the new generation, you guys are very lucky. So, it's cool. So, after text transform, I want it to be, I want them to be capitalized. I like this lowercase, so I'll just put it here. So, everything is capitalized now. Then you can also say text align. So text align right is going to align everything to the right. So this is, imagine that CSS is really sweet, and this Lorem Ipsum, you can see all of them are now aligned to the right. All of them are aligned to the right. So I can also say text align center. It is now going to be aligned to the center. Everything is now going to be aligned to the center. Then I can, if I say text align left, by default everything is text align left, so it is always going to be text aligned left. So I'm just going to put center at the bottom so that it will be aligned at the center. So after text align, you can also say text decoration. Text decoration. So I can say text decoration underline. If I say text decoration underline, yes, you see everything is going to be underlined. Everything is going to be underlined. I can say text decoration line 2. You can see it is now going to have this like cancel. You're going to have this like as if you like line 2 basically. Just going to have this line 2. And in use case where you can use this thing, if you are coding and there is like discount price and present price, you know the discount price, they are going to have this line through. So yes, this is a real case scenario where you use this. Then text decoration, there's also overline. Overline is just going to have overline here. So yeah, this is what these are for text decoration. There are still other text styling. You can see there are different text styling, but most of the ones, these are the 3 main ones that we'll be using. These are 3 main ones: text transform, text align, and text decoration. So I'll just change this to I'll just put underline at the bottom so that it'll be underlined. So these are the three that I'll be. These are the three text styling that I'll be doing with you guys. Actually 9. So we have text transform uppercase, lowercase, capitalize. We have text align right, left, center. And then we have text decoration line through, overline, underline. Then I think there should still be other text. Definitely there will still be other text decoration. So there is double, there is overline, there is solid, underline, different things. So this double. Okay, just focus on these three that I'm giving you. These are the three most popular ones, and these are the three ones that you'll be using most of the time. So yeah. So after this, let's move on to what we have next. List styling. So we have list styling next. So let's work with our lists. So go here, these are our lists. So what I want to do, I'll just remove this styling from this list. I just remove that class. So I'll just remove this guy. Okay, so I've removed it. So these are the lists that we're going to be working with. So let's go to style.css. And I am not going to, I'll just use UL and OL. So first of all, let's work with the UL. So for UL, I can say list style, I can say none. It is going to remove the list style. So you can see, no, you can see that dots, these things, they are now gone. You can see, although they are now gone. Okay, yeah. You can see all these things, the bullet points. If I put this list style of none, you see that all of them, they are now gone. So these are the list items. List item 1 to 5, list item in the section 1 to 5. So you can say list item 1. So you can say list style 1. You can. There are also different list style. So you can. There is also, by default it is circle. By default, okay. By default it's not circle. So you can change the list style. You can make it circle. You can make it circle. You can make it decimal. So you can also change another list to an you can also change another list to another list. Yeah, so you can also list the decimal, but most time you don't even really need to use all these things, because if you want an ordered list, just use UL. If you want an unordered list, just use UL. So most of the time you don't really want to do something like this, but this is something that you can do. Then you can also, there are different things that you can use: lower Greek, lower alpha, lower Latin, different things. This lower Greek is something like this: alpha, beta, gamma, and the rest. You can see. So all these things are things that I can do. But most of the time, what you use is list style unknown to just remove the styles on the list. Yeah, so this is something that you can use. Then also you can use images. So let me find this icon. So let me go to icon finder. Let me just use any icon at all. Check mark. Let's say I wanted to use this. I can just copy image address. I can say list style. Let's go back here. I can say list. Okay, I'm not putting my semicolon. List style. I can say URL, and I'll just paste this. So once I save it, you can see it now has this list style. So most of the time you would have to edit the image that you want to use to make sure that it is small and it does not make your this thing look weird. So you can see that you can also use images. So let me show you guys. If I change the image, if I just put another image and I save it, you see that it is now going to have this style too. So you can use different list styles. So I'll just put this one here. Yeah, so this is none. I'm just keeping it as none. So for this is list styling. this is what I wanted to. We'll still talk more on list when we are doing pseudo selectors. But I just wanted to show you guys that you can change the list styling, and you can remove it if you want to. Then we not talk about ordered list. Ordered list is still the same thing. OL. You can also say list style none. Then it is also going to remove the list style in ordered list too. So whether for ordered list or unordered list, it still works both ways. I can still come and say list style should be lower Greek, and it is also going to take that lower Greek list. So it just depends on how you want to style it. Some people they'll never use OL, they just use UL. Some people will never use UL, they just use OL and manipulate it and style it however they want to style it. So ultimately it just depends on you. So this is about list styling. Let's move on to the next stuff. So next up is colors and background. This is very, very good. So colors and background in CSS, you can change the color as we have seen in different places. You can change the color, you can change the background color, you can change the color of something and different stuff. So let us first work with colors before we now start working with background. So in CSS you can, let's give this list. Let's use okay, you know what, this is okay, no problem. Let's just go. I want to just let's just go. So this will be li. So this is li. So I want to style the list tags, the list items now. So I can say color. So there are different ways to use color in CSS. So you can use the color by the name, and VS Code helps you, because if you don't know the color, once you just type color, it's just going to give you lots and lots of colors to choose from. So you can see it's just going to give you lots of colors to choose from. And again, you can see all these things here. All these things are the hexadecimal codes. So all colors, they have hexadecimal codes. So I can just type one random hexadecimal code. So hexadecimal just means base 16. So I can just say 1. You can use A to F, 1 A B C D E F. Okay, and it has to be 6. So I can say 1 A B C D E. You can see it's just going to give me a random color. I can even do A B C D E F. It is also going to give me another color. You can see it is also giving me another color. I can say 1 2 3 4 5 6. It is going to give me another color. So you can see you can do any random combination. It is going to give you a different color. So when using colors, you can use hexadecimal. You can use the name of the color. So I can say red, it is going to make it red. I can say blue, it is going to make it blue. You just need to know, for girls now, sorry, I don't need to be stereotypical or anything. For people that know colors, they'll be comfortable with this. So yellow, different colors. There are different. CSS has taught me lots and lots of colors. So yes, so there are different colors I can use. So you can use the color name, you can use the hex code, you can use RGB. So RGB is just red, green and blue. So you can see red, green and blue. So if you say 255, their lowest value is 0. So if you say 0 0 0, what is it going to give you? It is going to give you black by default. The highest value is 255. So if you say 255 255 255, what is it going to give you? It's going to give you white. So if I say 0 0, so red now has the highest value, so red is going to it, so it is going to be red. If I say 0 255, obviously it's going to be green. And if I say 0, then I say 255, it is going to be blue. So you can see, so this is red, green and blue. So this is how it is. So And also if I can add one more, so this is RGB, so you can also use RGB values, so you can also combine and do different stuff. So don't just put anything below 0 and don't put anything above 255. So I can say 34, I can say 100. It is going to give me a color. It is always going to be a shade of this is going to be a shade of blue because 255 is at the highest. If I can say something like 21, then it's just going to give me a different color entirely. Green is at the highest. So you can see. So I can say let me see 200, probably a shade of red. Yes. So this is how it is. Then you can add a. So this is RGB. So if you now come and do color RGB. So this one I'll use it for background color. I'll use this one for background color. So this is for color. So let's do background color now. So let's say OL. Let me start my ordered list. If I say background color, so I can say RGBA. So this is, you can see it's still red, green, blue, and alpha. So once you add A, it is now adding the opacity, right? Opacity. So I can say 0, 0, 0, 0. If I say 0, 0, 0, 0, nothing is going to happen. It just means black with an opacity of 0. But if I say 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, it is going to be black. It's just going to be all black. You can see. So this one is just talking about how visible you want it to be. So if I say 0.5 and I save it, you see that it is black with an opacity of 0.5, and you can also edit it from here. So this will be 1, this will be 0001, and this will be 0000. You can see. So this is 0009.99. So if I update this, it is going to be almost visible. You can see, you will not even notice that it is not completely visible. So 0.99. So this is for RGBA. So RGB, and you can also combine different colors. This one just reduces. You can just tweak the opacity with this. You understand? You can just play with the opacity. So this is for background. This is for colors. I've talked about colors. Now I want to talk about background. So with background, we can see I've already given the body a background of. For background, you mainly use them on containers and block level elements. In fact, you can use it on any type of element, because even in inline level elements, you can also give them background color. So I can come and say all the paragraphs on my page. They should have a background color of floral white. And if I save it, you see all the paragraphs have background color of floral white. I can use it on buttons. You can use it on anything at all. So most of the time you use it for containers. So I can say section. Let me save this thing. So I can say section. I can say background color dark blue. And my section is somewhere around here. So you can see this is dark blue. So most of the time you use background color for your for containers. So this is dark blue, and again I can do it on the body. You can see I have done this background color on the body. So if I want to remove this one, it is going to be white by default, and I can say background color of this color. The change is not really obvious. Let's put this one here. So you can see you can change the background color. Then one thing you can also do, you can also have a background gradient. So you can like blend two colors together, right? So I can say the background color should be linear gradient. So if I want it to be linear gradient, I have to see background, no longer background color. So I have to see background linear gradients. Then I can say red, blue. So if I say red, blue, what is going to happen? If I save it, it is going to start from red at the top, and it's just going to blend into blue at the bottom, so you can see. So you can add different images, you can add different colors, just separate them by a comma. So I can say red, orange, green, blue. Is there indigo, violet? So once I save it, you see it is going to be red, orange. Everything is just going to blend. Everything is just going to blend into each other. So you can use different. I can come and add white in the middle. So CSS is just going to blend it. CSS is just going to blend it for you. So, and basically, yes, this is what I want to show you, that you can use linear gradients to blend colors together in CSS. Let me just copy this weird thing and put it on a particular container. So I'll just say main. I'll just put this one here, and I'll just create a main tag here. Something that is main. Let me collect all these guys. Okay, so I just created a tag main. This main is also a container, so I just put it here. So it's just going to be here like this. Then let's have our gray color before background color, gray. Light gray. Okay, let me remove this white, making it puff. Bro, okay, so this is, you can see, so you can do something like this. Then, but please, when you are working with colors, don't do something like this. Just make it as simple as possible. So you can also, let me create another container. This is aside. I just want to be creating using different listing. So let me add, then put all these then put these ones inside here. So I can say aside. This is also a HTML tag. Then the background, the linear gradient, you can also see to right. So background, I can say linear gradient. Then I can say to dash right. So right. If I say to right, comma, then I can see, let me try something, black and white. So if I save it, you can see it is that. Okay, let's use two different colors. Orange and pink. So if I say, you can see. So by default, okay, you have to put that to. You have to see to right. So by default, it is from up to down. So by default, it is from up to down. But if you want it to go from left to right, you just do. You just put this to right. Then you put your colors how you want to put them. So you can still add different colors. I can say black. If I say comma, black is now going to find a way to fit into it. So yeah, so you can make it to go from top to bottom, or you can make it to go from left to right. There's nothing like to left. So if you want it to go from orange, if I want orange to be at the right, I'll just put pink before orange. So that's just how to do it. So this is for background colors. Then you can also put background images. So So let's put a background image on our body. Let's put a background image. So let's say, let me use pixels to get a nice image. So I can say background image. Let it just give us anyone. So I can use this one. So I'll just right click, copy image address. So let's come here. If I can just say background, I can say background image, then I'll need to add my URL. It's good practice to put it inside the string. So it's good practice to put it. You can just put, if you put it like this inside, it is going to work. But it is good practice to just put it inside quotation marks. Then it is still going to work just as fine. If you might not see it repeating, let me use another image so that you guys will see what I want you guys to see. Let's use this car. Copy image address. So if we use this car, I'll remove this this main aside and all these ones. I'm going to remove them for now. So one thing I've not shown you guys in CSS is commenting. So to comment in CSS, you just put /star. Then I can come to the bottom. I'll just put my star and / again. So I've commented these lines of code. So if I save it, you see that the image is repeating. You can see this car. You can see that it is repeating. Why is it repeating? It is repeating because the image is not big enough to cover the entire body. So it is now repeating. If you look at the lines here, they are repeating. An image like this that is repeating, this one does not look bad, sharp. This car does not look bad, but there are some times that you don't want the image to repeat. Let me say if it was someone's face now, and you don't really want the person's face to be repeating on your page. You might just want it to be like centralized on your page. So for you to do that, for you to make it not to repeat, you can just say background repeat. Background repeat. Background repeats, no repeats. So when you use background repeats, no repeats, you can see what has happened. It just stayed here, right? So it just like used the particular width of the image. So this is how big the image is. So since you said background repeat, it was like before I was repeating so that I'll be able to cover your entire page. But now you have now said it should not repeat. So what will happen? You just now say, okay, no problem, I'll not repeat. I'll just stay in my lane. So it is just staying in its lane, basically. That's just what is happening. So if you want it to now, but you still want it to cover the entire page. So what you can do, you can say background size cover. So if you say background size cover, it is now going to stretch the image. Background size cover. It is going to stretch the image to cover it, right? It is going to stretch the image to cover it. Currently, I cannot see my car. There is a possible fix to it. I don't know whether it will work. But generally, this is what you are going to use. I don't know if I've not used this image before, but generally, when you do background size cover, you can say background position center. So you say background position center, you can see the car. It's now like going to centralize the car. Sorry, the image. It is now going to centralize the image. Basically that's just what happened. So you could see that. So when we did not put that background position center, you can see it not really centralized the image. But when you now use background position center, it is now going to like centralize the image. So basically, yes, that is it. I want to do something. Let me see if we can use another image that will come here. let's use this file and copy image address. Sorry, I've been tempted to use the file since. Okay, I've saved it. Let's see how it looks. Okay, you can see I'm using this file now. You can let's start all over again. Sorry, let's start all over. Let's remove this background position and everything. So if I save it, you see that the file is repeating. This thing does not look so bad, but you might not want the file to be repeating. So what are you going to? No, I'm clicking this guy. So what are you going to do? You say background repeats, right? Background repeats, no repeats. Once you say background repeat, no repeats, it is going to just keep it in this. It is just going to keep it in one place. After background repeat, no repeats, you can say background size cover. You see background size cover, it is going to cover everything, but it is not necessarily going to centralize it. So it is going to cover it here, but not going to centralize it. So you can say background position center. So it is now going to centralize it. So this is good, but there's a problem. What is the problem? We cannot see the text, right? You can see that all these texts are here, but we cannot really see them. So there's a fix to this. Let's say I love this image, I want to use it, but I also want to see my text. You can change the color of the text to white, but if you don't want to do that, I can add an overlay over this image so that it is going to be, so that like I'll be able to see the text. So how am I going to do that? So here now, I'm not going, this background image, I'll not use background image, I'll use background. So once I save it, it is still going to work. Nothing is going to change. I'm still going to use background, right? It's still going to work. So what I can do, I can now say linear gradient. Linear gradient. After linear gradient, I'll put comma. After linear gradient, I'm going to put comma, right? It has removed though, but there's no problem. So inside this comma, I'll just say, I can just say RGBA, open brackets, 255. 255, 255. Remember, this is white. If I say 255, 255, 255, this is white. Then comma 0.5. So this is the first image. So I'll just put. So this is the first color. So I can see white, comma. I'll just use again RGBA 255. Let me enlarge my screen. So 255, 255, 255, 0.5. So I can move this one to the bottom. So let me reduce this thing first so that you guys can see. So what did I do? I just said linear. I just added the linear gradient of white and white. So you can add linear gradient of the same color. So this is white and white. Then I put comma, and I put a comma. After the comma, I added this URL. So if I save it and I go back to here, you can see it now has this white overlay over the image. So if I want it, so I can just say 0.1. So I want the opacity to be very, very minimal. So you can see the text is getting more visible, but it's not that visible. So I can see 0.2. So once I save that, okay, this is not that bad now. So you can see. So if I do not put the background, sorry, I cancelled everything with that. If I don't put that linear gradient, if I don't put the linear gradient and I save it, it will just be this particular image and you will not be able to see the text, right? You will not be able to see the text. So since I put this linear gradient now, you will not be able to see the text. And again, you can also reverse it. So there are times that you put a very, very bright image. So you just use, in that time, you now need the black overlay, not a white overlay, right? So you now do something like, instead of 255, 255, 255, it will now be 0, 0, 0, comma 0.2, 0, 0, 0, comma 0.2. Because 255, 255, 255 is white, while 0, 0, 0 is black. So that's what you can do. I hope you guys understand. Again, if there's anything that I did or I'm doing or I'm going to do or I've done that you don't understand, please just let me know in the comment section. I'll reply with the right. So what's the next thing to do? So the next thing is width and height. So I believe we are done with colors and background. Hopefully you guys understood the whole colors and background stuff. So next thing is width and height. So for width and height, you again typically use it with containers, but you can also use it with block level elements and inline level elements. So, but most of the time you use it with containers. Most of the time you use it with containers. So let me remove this image and put a nicer image. So I don't waste time on this. Let me just use this one. Copy image address. And if it is too bright, I'll just use the opportunity to show you guys that example where you can just use a black overlay. So this thing let's see, might not even need an overlay. So let me remove this white overlay first. Let's see how it looks. Okay. Okay, you know what I want to do? I'll change the text color to white. I'll say color should be white. So if the color is white, it is now going to look like this. So now it is not clear, right? So I'll just change this 255, 255, 255, 255, 255, 255 to 0. So I can see 0.5, 0.5. So once I save that, you can see now this is looking so good. You can see it now has this black overlay at the top. If it is not dark enough, I can see 0.8, 0.8. So you see it is now going to be like this. And again, you cannot even add something at the middle. Let me just copy this. I can add this one at the middle, then this one cannot be 0.2, so that the middle, you can see the middle is now like kind of like brighter than the top and bottom shade. So something that you can just toy with. So let's just go with this. So let's do height and width now. Let's do height and width. So for height and width, I'll bring back this my containers. I think I can do this back. I can do this one. So let me just uncomment them. So once I save it, yes, these are my guys. So let's start with the main. So I've talked about block level elements before. Block level elements by default, they have a width of 100%. So you can see if I enlarge my screen, it is taking a width of 100% of the entire space allocated to it, right? This is 100%, this is 100%. But if I don't want it to take 100%, I can say with 50%. If I say with 50%, what is going to happen? It's just going to take 50% of the width allocated to it. So this is with 50%. This is there's now a 50% space here. You understand? So again, I can say with 100% by default. This is what is going to happen. But there's 100%. There's 100 VW. You can see that there's little space at the side. This is because CSS by default it gives some things default margin and padding. So if you want to remove that default margin and padding, there is a universal selector. right? You can use this universal selector, so you can just come all the way to the top. You can say star, then you can say margin 0. I know I've not talked about margin and padding, but I'm going to talk about them next. So margin and padding, they are just spaces in between elements, basically. So you can see now it comes all the way. It now comes all the way to the end. You can see it now comes all the way to the end. There's no margin, there's no padding separating it, and everything. You can see everything is now kind of like shrinked together. You can see everything is shrinked together. But if I remove this, if I remove that thing, you can see there will not be space. So elements, they have default margin and padding, right? So that's why this thing. So it is still 100%. It is taking 100%. So there is 100%. I can say 100%. I can say 100 VW. 100 VW. Okay, there will not be space here. So 100 VW just means 100 view width. Means that it should take 100. It should take 100% of the screen size. It should take 100% of the screen size. So you can see that there's an overflow here. You can see that there's an overflow here. Why this overflow is here is because of this the padding that is being added to it here. So if I remove, if I put in that. If I put in that universal selector, sorry, if I put in that universal selector and say padding 0, and I save it, margin 0, and I save it, you see that it still has the overflow. Yeah. Now let me enlarge my screen. It still has this overflow. Basically, why it's having this overflow is because the screen, as it is taking the whole size of the screen. You know, like this place here is kind of like blocking some part. So basically, it is starting from here and it is ending here at this size of my screen. So that's why it is now having this overflow here. But if you notice, this overflow here is the same size with this scroll bar. So that's why it is having it. So most of the time, just work with percentage, not with VW. You can see how it almost fucked me up. Sorry for using. You can see. So just work with percentage most of the time. You don't have that overflow problem. So this is for width. This is for width, and for width too, you can also use pixels. So I can say 100 pixels. If I say 100 pixels, you see it is going to be 100 pixels. You can also use centimeter. They are different. If I say 100 centimeter, it is going to be 100 centimeter. I don't know if CSS will allow you to use meter. Thank God, they will not allow you to use meter. I think there's inch too. Okay, there's no inch. So cm, you can use cm, you can use vh, you can use vw. VH means view height, VW means view width. But most of the times you use pixels. Most of the time you will be coding in pixels. So you can see that once I reduce it to 100 pixels, the content just automatically, the container shrinks, then the content automatically shrinks too. Yeah. So this is 100 pixels. Then let's change it to 100. Let's change it to 80%. 80%. So this is 80%. So yes. Then for height now, I can also adjust the height. So I can say height. I can say height should be. For height, you don't use percentage for height. You don't really use percentage for height. And why you don't use percentage for height is because for width, right? Your browser already has a specified width. Like you already, like from here, the visible place that you can see has a specified width. But the height, if you think of it, the height is infinite, because you can continue adding and adding and adding and adding and adding. If I continue adding content to my page, the height is always going to be increasing. So I cannot really just get a specified percentage of that particular height. You understand? So when you are using heights, you don't when you are using heights, if you want to use percentage, you just use VH, because VH now just means from here to here, the visible height that you can see. You understand? From here to here. So if I say the height should be 100 VH now, and I save it, you see that it is going to be from here to here. You can see it is going to take up the entire height of my screen. If I enlarge it, you see that it is taking up the entire height of my screen. So if I say if I come and say width 100%, height 100%, and I save it, you see that it is going to cover everything on my screen. So if I go up, you can see, so it is exactly 100% of my screen, exactly 100 VH. Then I can, if I know that I'm clicking this thing, then I can also say 110 VH, right? If I say 110 VH, basically it's just going to be 110%. So you can see there's now extra 10% at the bottom. So most of the time, yes, if you want to work with height, you can use pixels and you can use VH. Those are the two. Most people use pixels and VH. Then some people also use centimeter. So let me advise you. So if you are working with the height of containers, use VH. Then if you are working with the height of elements like inputs or buttons and stuff like that, or images, you can use pixels. So yes, so if you are working with the height of containers, please use VH, because it is if you are working with the height of containers, use VH. If you are working with the height of buttons and input and all those stuff, use pixels. Same thing with width too. If you are working with the width of containers, use percentage. Then if you are working with the width of buttons, it is even still advisable to use percentage itself. But if you want it to be small, just use pixels. Then if you know that it is going to be big, use percentage, because when you are now doing mobile responsiveness, when you are using percentage, it is not going to give you much stress. But if you are using pixels, it is going to give you stress. So yeah. So please use so just follow these guidelines. So again, for width and height, there's still more to it. Let's reduce this guy to 50 VH. So I'll save it. This background color, I'll change it to white for now. Background color white or width. This is main. Okay, background supersedes background color. Then color black. So the color of the text is black. Okay. So now this is let me get something inside the main. So this is my main tag. So there's one history inside my main tag, right? So I can come here. I can say inside my main tag main there is an h3. There's a h3. So I can do something like this. I've not done this before, but I can do something like this. So if I don't want to like give this h3 a class, I can just target it like this. So inside my so this thing is just going to affect if I have a h3 tag inside a main tag, it is going to affect it. So it is, let me say I have another main tag somewhere on my page, and I have the h3 tag inside that main tag, it is also going to affect it. So I can say background color should be green, dark, I don't like that wasting time in color. So this is the column now. So I can say height. I can say height to be 100 pixels, right? If I say height to be 100 pixels, you can see this is now, the height is now 100 pixels. But let's make it 50 pixels. So the height is 50 pixels. So the width now, if the width by default is 100%, good. The width by default is 100%. So if I say width should be 50%, and I save it. It is 50% of this particular container. It is 50% of the container, not necessarily 50% of the screen. I'll show you how. If I say 100%, it is going to be 100%. But if I now say 50% and I save it, you can see it is now 100%. The main container itself is 50% of the screen. So this history now, it is now 100% of this 50%, such that if I now put 50% here, what is now going to happen? This history is now going to be 50% of the container, not necessarily 50% of the screen. You guys understand, Abby? So when you are using width and it is inside the container, if you are using percentage, that percentage is relative to the width of the container. If the width is if I give the width, let me say I give something a width of, if I give a container a width of 100%, then I give, okay, let me say I give a container a width of 80%, then I give something inside that container a width of 50%. The thing inside the container is going to be 50% of that 80%, not 50% of the entire screen. So I can say width of this main should be 80%. So it is now, this history is now 50% of this of this 80%. This history is 50% of this 80%. So if I say 100% and I save it, right, then I say 10%. What is going to happen? It is going to be 10% of the width is going to be 10% of the width is going to be 10% of the 80%. But if I reduce the width of this container, if I reduce the width of the container now to 50%, what is going to happen? It is now going to be 10% of that 50%. You understand? So that is what is happening. So I'm going to save it. So one thing that I can do again, for width, you can save fit content. So I can say width, the width should be fit content. So if I save it, it is just going to adjust, it is just going to like give it the appropriate width. Right? It is just going to give it the appropriate width. It is going to reduce it from 100% to the appropriate width. So it is not going to have any extra space. It is just going to have, it is not going to have any extra space. Then this height now, you can see the height. I can now put height as a percentage. Why can I put height as a percentage? Because this main container now has a defined height. The height of this container is what? 50 VH. If I say the height of this container should be 80 VH and I save it, what is going to happen? This H3 is now going to be 50% of this 80 VH. You understand? So if I say the height of the container should be 100 VH and I save it, what is going to happen? This H3 is going to be 50% of the entire height. So that's what's happening. So about width and height, they might still be a lot. Okay, there's one thing I want to mention. If I reduce the height of this thing, let me say I reduce the, okay, let's use another one now. Let's say inside this mail I have, let me move this class of text 00, or no problem, let's just give me another class. So I can say class class yo. So I'm just using random class name so that you guys understand that I can do anything. You can use it, you can use anything. So I can say yo. So I can say background color. I want to give a contrasting color. So if I say, so this is dark red now. So I can reduce the height. So if I say height should be 10 pixels and I save it, what is going to happen? You can see that. Let me get. Let me say color. Color should be white. Then let me say 20 pixels. Say 40 pixels. So you can see that it is not all the text that is inside the. It is not all the text that is inside the. This is not all the text that could fit into this height of 40 pixels. So when you're using height, most of the time just use mean height. So mean height means that if I put in, okay, let me say mean height. If I put mean height, it is now going to be like the minimum height should be 40 pixels. But if the content now exceeds that 40 pixels, adjust so that the content will not be overflow of content, so that the content will be able to fit inside. So that's what is happening. So let me say this height now of, let me say the height of this this main now. Let me say the height was 50 the height is 50 VH. Let me say I now use that at 10, sorry, at 10 VH. If I say 10 VH, you can see some of the things are spilling out. Some of the content are spilling out. I don't know if it is clear, but if you see some of the content are spilling out. So what I can just do, I can just say mean height. The minimum height should be 10 VH. So since the minimum height is 10 VH, if the content now exceeds 10 VH, which is 10 V height, it should now just like adjust so that the content will be able to enter. So I'll just change this one back to 50 VH. So that is it about Python. That is it about height and width for now. So we'll move on to next one. CSS box model. So the next thing that we're going to talk about is CSS box model. So for CSS box model, I'll first have to teach you guys borders. After talking about borders, we'll talk about margin and padding before I can now explain the box model. So, or the box model is when I'm teaching you margin and padding. So for CSS box model, so okay, for borders first. So border is just basically the lines around as in you putting a line around a particular element. So let's say, let's find the lucky element. Let's use this guy. Let me give it an ID of lucky. So I have to give it an ID of lucky. So I'll come here and say lucky. And font size to rem, that is this one. Then color should be white. Color should be white. Color is white. Font width should be bold. So it is bold. And text transform, you can see I'm just using most of the things that I've taught you guys. Text transform is uppercase. Then text align center. Text align center. So I want to give it a border now. So I can say border. So for border, I can do something like border 2 pixels solid white. If I save it, it is now going to have this line around it. So 2 pixels solid white means this is the border width, this is the border style, and this is the border color. So I can do it individually. I can just come and say border width should be 5 pixels. If I include it, you can see it is thicker. I can say border style should be double. If I save it, you can see it is double. It is no longer solid, it is now double. Then I can say border color. Border color should be aqua. If I save it, it is now aqua. You guys can see, agree? Good. So the border is just basically the line around it, and I can say, instead of putting borders all around it, so I can just say border right or border left, right? So if I remove this, if I say, I can say border left width, border left width. If I save it, I'll have to remove all these things. So border left, okay, I can just come and say border left. So instead of just doing it one by one, I can just come and say border left 5 pixels solid red. And if I save it, it is just going to have 5 pixels solid red at the left. If I say border top and I save it, it's just going to have 5 pixels solid red at the top. You understand? But if I just say border, so I can say 5 pixels double or dotted red. If I save it, it is now the border style is now going to be dotted. So border is just basically the lines around an element. It's just the lines around an element. Yeah. So yes, then I can reduce the width. So the width is 100% now. That is why the border is coming to the outside. So if I say width is fit content and I save it, what is going to happen? It is now going to be like this. You can see. So let me change this to white. I'll change this to white. I'll change this to change it to double. So you can see. So the width is now fit content. So basically, this is it about border. Border is just line around an element. There is also border radius. I can say border radius. Border radius 10 pixels. So if I say border radius, it is now going to be round. So I can say border top instead of the whole border radius. I can just say something like border top right radius. I can say 10 pixels. What is going to happen? Everything is going to be sharp except the top right. Then I can also say border bottom left radius 10 pixels. I've been using 10 pixels. You can also use percentage. You can use pixels and percentage. Yes, so you can see how this thing is now. Well, I'm going to remove this border radius. So I'll just comment them out so that you guys know that okay, this is something you can do. So like I said, commenting, you put this star, then I can come here and say star. Okay, so once I save that, so I now want to go into the box model. So our margin and padding. So the difference between margin and padding, they are spaces. They are, use them to put space around an element. Margin is the space outside the border, while padding is the space inside the border. I'll take it again. Margin is the space outside the border, padding is the space inside the border. So if I want, let me say this L is too close to the border now, right? Let me say this L is too close to the border. I can say padding left 20 pixels. If I save it, you see the L are now moved away from this border. Padding left means I just want to put a padding, a space inside the border on the left. Good. If I remove this padding, let me comment out this padding left now. Okay, I've commented out the padding left. Supposing I were to use margin left now. I say 20 pixels and I save it. What happened? It just moved. Let me use 100 pixels. What is going to happen? It is like I said, margin is the space outside the border. It is going to put a space outside the border, but this L is still close to this L is still very close to this border. So padding is the space inside the border, margin is the space outside the border. So if I say padding left of 200 pixels, what's going to happen? It's now going to put a space inside the border of 200 pixels. Abi? Good. If, let me say, I say this border now is too close to this lorem ipsum, this border is too close to the lorem ipsum, what am I going to use? Is it margin or padding? You failed it. It is margin I'm going to use. Sorry, I know you got it. I have intelligent people watching my video. So it is margin that I am going to use. If the border is too close to this lorem ipsum, it is margin. So I'll say margin top, right? Margin top 50 pixels. So I can, once I save it, it is now going to put it down. What if I said this list is too close to this border top? What am I going to use? Is it padding or margin? Correct, you got it. It is padding. So padding top is 30 pixels. So once I save it, you can see. So I can add padding to the top, right, bottom, and left. So there's padding top, padding right, padding bottom, padding left. But I can also do, let me find another lucky this thing. Let's use this 3 item. So I can come here and say text -00. So let me say text, sorry, plus text -00. Because this one already, okay, so this guy is already good. So what I can do, I can just say inside a section I have a class of text -00. So it is not going to affect the rest text -00 on my page. It is only going to affect any text -00 that is inside a section. So by the time you are working with CSS, you find out that there are lots of ways you can do many stuff. There's no one right way to do it. You just freestyle, just do most of the things on vibe. So I can put my border. I can say 3 pixels, solid white, and I can just say font weight bold, font size 2 So once I say it's not like this, it's not proud, we can say it. So I will use the width. I'll just say with fit content. If I say with fit content, it is now like this. Good. So once you adjust the width of something, once you adjust the width of something, you can just say margin auto. Margin auto. Once you say margin auto, it is just going to put equal margin on the left and equal margin on the right. So it's going to put equal margin on the left and equal margin on the right. So I'm going to remove that for now. So I just want to show you guys. We're still going to use it later. Okay, so if I want there to be margin top and bottom, I can just say margin top and bottom 20 pixels, then left and right 0. So if I do something like this, it means, okay, let's use 50 so that I can be very conspicuous. So you can see top and bottom 50 pixels, left and right 0 pixels. So you can see that I added I do not need to do padding top and bottom, left and right, you understand? So like this, if you do it, if you put 2, this means top and bottom, this means left and right. But if you just put 1, it means top, bottom, left, right. So you can say added to the top, added to the bottom, added to the left, added to the right. So this is what is happening. Also for margin, also for padding too. So I can say padding. If I say 50 pixels 0, this will also mean add at the top and bottom, but don't add at the left and right. Then I can say top and bottom 10 pixels, top and bottom 50, left and right 10. It is now going to add at the top and bottom 50, left and right 10. Or I can just say top bottom, left, right, 50 pixels. It is going to be like this. I can also say the top and bottom should be 0, left and right should be 50 pixels, and it is going to be like this. So this is the box model in CSS. So it just means that means the when you are talking about the spaces, margin, padding, and the border. So you just understand that the margin is the space outside the border, the padding is the space inside the border. It's as simple as that. So what next? CSS positioning. So CSS positioning. Wow. Yes, CSS positioning. So CSS by default when you put things on your when you put things on your HTML, right? They are static, right? They are giving position of static. Position of static means that they just follow the normal flow. Like now, for example, this is my first H1 tag, this is my second H1 tag, this is probably H3 tag or something, this is my paragraph, this is the tag. All of them, they are following the form, like they are entering the position that they are supposed to be. They are static. That's why this one is on top, this is the second one, this is the third one. They are just stacked one after the other at the bottom of each other. So this is how it is supposed to be. But with positioning, you can now change that. You can now change it. You understand? So let's say, for example, I have let's put hamburger menu. Hamburger menu. I'll just have this. I'll copy image address. So I'll just put this one at the bottom here. And I save it. So if you come to the bottom, you are going to see it. Let's try to style it. So let's say ing background color white. So it has this background color of white. Then border radius 50%. If you use 50%, I noticed that if you use 50% and 50 pixels, it is going to give you the same thing. So you can see this guy now. You can see this image, right? By default, it is here. Why is it here? Because I put it at the bottom here. But what if I don't want it to be at this bottom here? Right? Let me give it. I want to give this thing an ID. I'll say then I'll just style it with the ID. I'm sure by now you guys should be very comfortable with what I'm doing. So what if I don't want it to be here? What if I want it to be in a different place? That is where positioning comes in. So with positioning, let's go back to the top. I can come and say position fixed. So if I say position fixed and I save it, nothing is going to happen. It is still going to be here, right? It is still going to, okay, it has already vanished. You will not be able to see it. So I now have to specify where it is going to be. So I can say top, or look, I can say bottom 30 pixels, then left 10 pixels. So once I save it, you can see it is now going to be here. You can see it is now here. So, and since it is position fixed, no matter how much I scroll, it is always going to be there. You can see I am scrolling, it is always going to be here. So normally all these type of things, you have them like at the top right? So let's say top, it should be let's say 10 pixels away from the top, and it should also be right 10 pixels away from the right. So you can see it is always going to be here. So no matter how much I scroll, it is always going to be here. And maybe something like this, you have it like scroll to top. let me say let me bring another one. Let me say up arrow. Up arrow. Copy image address. Okay. So I'll just save this thing. So let's go back to my page. You can see this guy is back here. This is my styling. I'll just give this border radius and background color to all the images. So it is, this one is not going to have it. Then I can say top, position, fixed, then bottom should be, I can say 10% from the bottom, then right should be 0. So right should be 0. What is happening? Oh, up. So you can see, so it is 10% away from the bottom and 0 pixels away from the right. So, or 0% of pixels away from the right. So you can see, no matter how much I scroll, they are always going to be here. And this thing, it is not only images that I can use them for. It's definitely not only images. So let's say this section, this guy here. Let's say I can say position fixed. Top should be 30%. Then bottom should be no bottom. Once you are done top, no need for bottom. So just say right should be 40%. So once I save that, you will see it is always going to be, if I were to give it a background color of white. So you see it is always going to be here. No matter how much I scroll, it is always going to be here. You can see. So this is for position fixed. So for position fixed, you remove it from the normal flow of the document. You now place it on any place relative to the screen, then, and it is going to be fixed there. It is going to be fixed no matter how much you scroll. It is always going to be fixed there. So this is for position fixed. Position absolute is something similar. Position absolute is something similar to this. So let's change. I want to change this one to position absolute. So I want to remove this menu now. I want to remove the styling from it. I'll remove the whole styling from it. Right? So it is only these two here that have position fixed. So the menu has come back to its original position. Good. You can see the menu has come back to its original position. So I can call here, I can say menu, hashtag menu, I can say position absolute. Once I say position absolute and I save it, okay, it is still going to be there. It has given it a width of 100%. So position absolute, first of all, is going to first disorient, it's going to first distort it. Good. So next thing that you are going to do, you now have to specify where you want it to be. So I can say top 20 pixels, right 20 pixels. So once I save it, you can see it has now moved here. The difference between absolute and fixed is that I can, if I scroll, it is going to remove, you understand, as in it is going to scroll out, but I just changed the position. So it is just going to always be, it is going to be at the top 20%, right? Top 20 pixels, right? 20 pixels, but it's not going to be fixed on my page. You understand? It's not going to be fixed. It's only these two guys that have position fixed that are going to be fixed. So it is not going to be fixed on my. It is not going to be fixed on my page. Good. That is what I wanted you guys to know. Then, after this, we now have position relative. So I hope you guys understand the difference between position fixed and position absolute. Position absolute, it also works with position relative. So position relative too. So position relative, you use it on containers, right? You use it on containers. So which container do I have here? Aside. And again, this, okay, I played to the guys that is only for images. So this is aside here. So let me go to that my aside. Where is it? Aside. Let's give it a height of 80 vh. So I'll save it. Now has it this guy. Let me just give it top of 0 so that it will not disturb us too much. So top, I'll just say 0 so that it will just be at the top there. Okay, so I'll say bottom 0. Okay, so that will just always be at the bottom. So this so I'm working with this box now. So this is my aside. Where is it? So this is the aside now. So if I put something, this is lower. In fact, let me say H5 in aside. Let's save it. You can see H5 in aside. So I want to now say aside H5. Font size in 3 rem, font size 3 rem, then color should be black. I'll save it. Good. Now you guys should watch through. As I'm scrolling, nothing is happening. As in, it is normal. It is static inside there. It is static inside there, right? It is static, so it is always going to be inside here. But if I now say position absolute top top, or let me use bottom 10 pixels, right should be 5 pixels. So once I save that, you see it is here 10 pixels away from the bottom, 5 pixels away from the right. And if I scroll, let me make it top, because you guys will not see what I want you guys to see. Top 10 pixels, so you can see. Let me make the color to be white, red. Make the color to be red. So look at it, it is here now, right? It is, where is it? It is 10 pixels away from the top of the screen and 5 pixels away from the right of the screen. If I scroll, it is normal position absolute. You guys already know what position absolute does. So it is now like this, right? But if I now put position relative on the container and I save it, what is going to happen? This H5 now is now going to be absolute relative to this container. Since the parent container is position relative, once I put position absolute on something that is inside the container that has position relative, it is now going to be moving relative. It is now going to be absolute relative to the container. So it is no longer going to be top of the screen and right of the screen. It is now going to be top of the container and right of the container. You understand? So if I come and say top 50 50% and I save it, it is not it is not going to be 50% of the screen, right? It is going to be 50% of this container. It is going to be 50% of this container. And if I remove this position relative from this container, once I move, you can see I've commented it out. Once I save it, you see that it has now left the container. It's like it is now free from the container. Like it cannot go outside. It is now 50% away from the top of the screen. But this position relative, it now like binds it to the container, like traps it, so that it cannot go outside the confines of the container. So once you give it position absolute, it is now restricted to the container. The only thing that can make it to escape from the container is if you use position fixed. If you use position fixed, it is going to escape from the container and it is always just going to be 5 pixels on the screen. But if it's position absolute, it is going to be inside the container and it is always going to be 50% away from the top. So these are 3 positions I'm going to cover: position relative, position absolute, and position fixed. There is sticky and different ones. I'll probably cover those ones in other videos, but for this video, these 3, and I hope you guys understand it. So yes, this is about positioning. So after positioning, let's see what next. Pseudo selectors. So for pseudo selector, it just means pseudo selector means referencing or targeting an element at a certain position or at a certain state. I took it. So pseudo selector basically just means referencing an element at a certain position or at a certain state. Good. So what do I mean by that? You might be confused, you might be in awe, like, what is he talking about? I'm here to guide you. So this page is already looking very messy. Let's create a new page. Let's create a new HTML here and file.html. Then I can say style 2.css. So I'll just put in my file. I can just say I'll just put in my normal disk here. Then for this HTML, I'll just put an A tag at the top. I'll just put in A, so second page, then I'll say file.html. I'll save it. So once I click on it, it's going to take me to my second page. It already has a body tag. I can save it. Get out. So I'll just style. I'll put my style and put my style here. There's no need to even open a different. If I link this thing to the first one, style.css, it is going to have that, and I save it. You refresh. It is going to have that background color. You can see. Sorry, that background. It is going to have the background image. You can see. Let's have background image. So I want it to have. I want to make it to the style 2.css, right? So we're doing list. We're working with list. So I'll just come and copy this list. I want to work with list. I'll come and copy this one here. I'll paste it here. I want to make this one with the idea of looking. So I'll say, so this is what we have now. So pseudo selectors, I said you can reference elements at a certain state or at a certain position. So what do I mean? You know what? Let's change this to OL, so that it will have numbers. So instead of having this item, I'll just save it, copy it, and paste it here. So I want to have many list items to work with. Okay, good. So I cannot see LI. So if I want to target, let me say for example, I want to target like the 16th item now, or I want to, okay, let's say I want to target the first item. Let's start now. I want to target the first item. What a normal you would say with that would be that I should just put a class or an ID on it and target it. But instead of doing that, I can just say LI first child, then I'll give it a color of red. So once I save it, you can see the first child is going to be red. I want everything to be bolder, so I'll say font size 1.2 font width bold. Okay, so you can see the first child. So I targeted the first item now with what I targeted the first this first item. I don't really need to give it a class. I just targeted it with its position. Okay, I targeted it with a position. So I can still come and say LI last child, then I can say color. I definitely is not only color I can use, or I can say font size, font weight, different text align. You see text align. Any single thing at all, you can do it border, everything. So you can see this is the last child. This is the last child. I just want to use color green. So I've saved it. You can see the last child is now green. So what if it is not the first or last child that I want to target? What if I want to target the 22nd child? What I just say LI nth child 22. Then I can say color should be brown. So once I save it, you will see the 22nd item is now brown. And again, this thing is not only for list items, right? It's not only for list items. So I can have anything H1, H2, H3. Let's say H1 is number. So this should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? I can say 7. Then all these guys here. So I can come and say H1 nth child 5. Then I can say border 1 pixel solid black. So once I save it, A1 n child 5, we targeted the fourth one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All these things say why this thing targeted the first, why this one targeted the fourth child instead of the fifth child. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, it's taking the list, right? It is taking this UL. Sorry, it is taking this OL. It is including the OL. That is just what is happening. It is including the OL. So supposing this OL was not here, and I say it is going to target number 5. So it's not my fault. That is just how it is. I'll say it's the bug on CSS part. So you have to be careful when you are using all these things. And most time when you are using all these things, make sure they are inside the container. So let me say these things, these H1 tags now. Let me say they were inside the container now, like which container? Let me just use normal div. So you can see it has now changed to number 5. It has now changed to number 5. So if I remove it from the container, it will change to number 4. But if I put in the container, it is going to change to number 5. So Most of the time, it's you have to be careful when you're using stuff like this. You have to be careful when you're using stuff like this. So let's go back to our list. So I just did this H1 to show you that it is not compulsory that that it is a list tag that you must use it on. You can use it on images, anything at all. So what if I want all the odd, everything that is odd to have one particular style? So I can say li ends child odd, then I can say background color yellow is no, let me use yellow green. So once I save it, you can see it is now yellow green. So this thing affected only the ones that are odd, and odd numbers are 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, etc. Get the ones that cannot be divided by 2 without a remainder. Yeah, happy with the remainder. Sure, guys understand. So ends child even, then I can see background color. So you can see blue violet. So I'm now styled. You can see, instead of me to start giving all these things their own particular class, I can just style them like this. So these are pseudo selectors. Another example of pseudo selector would be input. So for this input now, input, and this is the type of text. Let me put the input above this one. So let me save it. So this is the input, right? Let's increase the width of the input first. Width should be like 300 pixels. So once I say okay, so this is how it is. Let's increase the height soon. Height should be 20 pixels. Alright, so this is my input. I can type something on it. So as I'm typing, see, if you guys should notice what is happening. I've clicked out on it. As I click inside the input, I've focused on the input. I have focused on the input. That's why you see this outline here. This, you can see that the border is now thicker. If I click out of it, when my cursor is not inside, the border is not going to be thick. But once I click inside, the border is going to be thick. It means that I have focused on it. Pseudo selectors, you can reference different elements when they are at different position or certain states, right? So this focus is a state. So I can say input, then focus, right? So when I'm focusing on it, see, I want the background color normally to be this cornflower blue. If I say it by default, it is cornflower blue. But when I focus on it, I want the background color to now be chartreuse. So I'll say it. So you can see by default it is cornflower blue. But when I focus on it, it is now chartreuse. If I stop focusing on it, it is cornflower blue. When I focus on it, it is chartreuse. So you can see this is something like so this is a style. So this is a pseudo selector because the meaning of pseudo means fake. Yes, so like it is a fake selector because it does not work as in it is not permanent on it. It is not like stamped on it. So it's just like for this H1 now that is number 5. Supposing this guy was not here now, it would have gone to number 6. You understand? So supposing this number 6 was not here, it will go to number 5. Abi, let me save it. Okay, by default it's in number 5. Supposing this number 5 was not here, it will go to number 6. Supposing number 6 was not here, it will go to number 7. You understand? So it is not constant. That is why we call them pseudo. It's not new, it's not real. That is why they call it pseudo selector. I'm still part of the people that still call it chart, so that's why we call them pseudo selectors. So another pseudo selector I'll show is hover. It's hover. So you can hover over something. So I can say h1 nth child, let me say 2. So then, okay, this is double this thing over. No, okay, I'll do this one and I'll do a normal one so that I'll not confuse you people. So I can say background color should be chocolate. So I'll save it. So this thing just means that on a normal day the background color of this thing is white, but if I hover on it, the background color will now be chocolate. You can see. So this thing is also a pseudo selector because this style is dependent on me hovering on it. Same as this one. This style is same as this input. This style is dependent on me focusing on it. This style is dependent on me hovering on it. You understand? So this is what is happening. So yeah, and this one we combine two pseudo selectors. We combine this nth child and we combine the hover. So it is also something you can do. So I can just say div over, or on a normal day the div should have a background color of white or black. Then the text should be, the color should be white. So once I save it, this is what we have, right? This is what we have. But if I hover on the div, right, it should have a background color of white and a color of black. So if I now hover, it's not slick like that. Let me change the background color to gray, your own light gray. Alright, so if I hover on it, you can see it's looking better now. You can see. So if I hover right, it is now. So all these things are now pseudo. This is the pseudo selector. So this is another pseudo selector. So we have talked about hover, we have talked about focus, then these ones that are based on positioning. So yeah, and we also use this style to talk about transition. Let's talk about transition. So you can see that this thing is kind of like, it's just happening once, right? It's just happening once, like in a flash. So you can make it slower, right? You can make it slower. So I can just say transition 0.5 seconds, right? So if I hover on it, it is now going to use 0.5 seconds to effect the change when I hover on it. You get? So you can see this one is still sharp. This one is still very, very sharp. So I can just come and say I can put the transition 0.5 seconds here too. I put the transition 0.5 seconds here. So if I hover on this one, you can see it uses let me change it to 1 second so that you guys will see this somewhere. So if I come and hover on this one, you can see it now uses 1 second to have it to get a background color. So this is there's so much more in transition, but I'm not an expert on transition. So, but I just want you guys to understand that transition is just for if you want to change the style of something, you can, and you don't want it to happen in a flash, right? You just use transition to make it slower. So you make it to transition from one state to another, like in a very like fine manner. It should not just be quick and fast. So yes, that's about transition. Then after transition, after pseudo selectors, we have CSS transform. So CSS transform, I'll just have 3 buttons, right? button. I'll give the ID of ONB, then I'll say 1. So I'll say B1, 2, 3, 3, 2. So I'll just save this one. I'll carry all these guys and put them here. So the 3 different transforms that we're going to be talking about is, okay, let's work on the button. So these buttons, I'll say display block, so that they'll be on their own line. Margin bottom 20 pixels, then padding 10 pixels, width, which should be 60 pixels. Okay. Let me say margin auto. So I'll have to put the margin auto above the margin bottom, because like I said, CSS works from top to bottom. So the margin auto now it's like remove this margin bottom. The margin also remove the margin bottom. So now, as I've put margin bottom, it is just going to add the margin bottom to the margin auto. Yeah, yes, that's just what happened. So I can start working with all these ones. So I gave the 3 of them. So the transform that we're going to just be working with is scale, rotate, and translate. Scale, rotate, and translate. So I'll say transform. So I'll say I have 3 buttons, right? So this one will be B1. So I'm going to put this thing on hover. So when you hover on it, that's when you should see the. Okay, I'll not put it on hover at first. I'll just put it how it is. I'll just put it, then I'll change it to hover. So B1, then I can say rotate, transform, then rotate. So the rotate is in degrees, so I can say 45 deg, and if I save it, you see it has now rotated 45 degrees. Let's imagine so. Okay, you can see it has now rotated 45 degrees. I can say 90, it is going to rotate 90 degrees. I can say 270. It's going to rotate 270 degrees, saying 270 degrees. Then if I say 180, it's going to be upside down. Okay, so which rotates, can just say 10 degrees. It's just going to be tilted a little bit. So with rotate, you can specify the rotation, how much you want it to rotate. You understand? So I can say, let me just say 45 degrees. So I'll save it. Good. So this is for rotate. Then for translate, and you can use this thing on any. You can use it on any this thing. You can use it on any tag. So if I just come and say H1 and I save it, you just see that all the H1 on the page will just be like this. You understand? Why is this one? Okay, you can see all the H1 on the page will just be like this. You understand? So you can use it on any style or on any tag at all. So this one is rotate, then transform. I say translate. So this there's translate X first of all. So translate X, if I say 30 pixels, what is going to happen? You're just going to move 30 pixels to the right. Let me put 300 pixels and I say you can see that's moved 300 pixels to the right. This thing is not like margin. It is not like margin. It is different from margin. It just moves it 300 pixels to the right. You understand? Then if I say minus 300 pixels, it's going to move it 300 pixels to the left. Then if I say Y, it is going to move it. Okay, it has moved outside my page. 100 pixels. It moves it 100 pixels to the top. Then if I put normal 100 pixels, minus 100 pixels, move it 100 pixels to the top. Then 100 pixels, just move it 100 to the bottom, right? Then you can now say, if you don't put anything, so I can now say translate x and y. So it should be, I can say 50 pixels to the right, comma 100 pixels to the bottom. So if I say that, you see, if I put over, then let me add transition of 1s, and I save it. You see that, you see it is going to move to the right. You guys can see it is going to move to the bottom right. Then for this one, if I add an over to it, if I add over to it, this is when I over on it, it is now going to have that this 45 degrees. You understand? So if I can say something like 360 degrees. So if I hover on it, it's going to rotate 360 degrees. This one is going to have this over. Then for my scale, B3, transform, scale. So this scale, it just increases the size and reduces the size. So if I say 5, right? If I say 5 and I hover on it, it is going to make it 5 times bigger, right? It is going to make it 5 times bigger. If I say 2 and I say it, what is going to happen? It's going to make it 2 times bigger. I can say 10. What is going to happen? You guessed right. Make it 10 times bigger. If I now use 0.5, what is going to happen? It is going to make it 2 times smaller. So it's just going to half the size. You can see it's going to half the size. So if I say 0.1, it's going to like divide it by 10. You understand? So it's going to be very, very, very tiny. Yeah. So by default it is 1. If I just say 1, nothing is going to happen. So by default it is 1. So I can see, so let's just keep it at 4. So it's going to quadruple the size. So you can see this is rotate. It's going to rotate it. Translate it. It's going to translate it. Then scale is going to increase the size and decrease the size. So these are 3 transforms that we're going to be working on, that we're going to be dealing with today. So after transform, we now have visibility. So on CSS, there are times that you need to hide some things on your page, right? There are sometimes that you need to hide some things on your page. So I'll do that with let me do that with a button. We just work with button. So this guy, or an image. Let me do it with an image. I'll get this one. Copy image address. Okay, so I'll come here. Under my button, I'll say ing. Source, I'll put the source. Okay, so this is the image, right? This is the image. So if I want to style this, if let me say for example I don't want to see this image, there are different things that I can do, but the different things, they are going to have different impact. So I can say image, this is the only image on my page, ing. So if I say visibility hidden and I save it, right, you are not going to be able to see it, but the space that it is taking is still going to be there, right? So it's just that it is there, but it is not just visible. Exactly. It is there, but it is not just visible. So as in, it is still going to be taking that particular space. So if there sometimes that you might want to use this, let me say for example, when you're now working with or let me say for example now you can just say on hover, right, on hover. So if I say it, so it is when you hover on it that the visibility will now be hidden. You understand? When you hover on it that the visibility will now be hidden. But sometimes, okay, so this is one method to do it. If you want to hide something, you can also use opacity. So I can say opacity. So if I say it, this is how it is. So I can say opacity. By default, everything has opacity of 1, right? So if I say opacity is 0.5, what is going to happen? It is fading away. 0.1, it is fading away. If I say opacity is 0, opacity 0 is just like visibility hidden. It is, you see, it is still okay. It's even different. It is going to be there because if I say visibility hidden, right? If I say visibility hidden, I'm not able to drag this image, right? I'm not able to drag this image, but it is still, as in the space is there, right? The space is there. You can see I'm trying to drag the image. I'm not able to drag it. For visibility hidden, if you put it on a button, right, you'll be able to click that. No, or visibility hidden, if you put it on a button, you won't be able to click that button. So let me say, for example, that button has something that if you click on it, something will happen. You won't be able to click on that button, right? But the space, it is still going to be there. Same as this image, I'm not able to interact with this image, but I know that something is supposed to be here. But when you now work with opacity 0, I'll be able to interact with the image. I know that the image is there, but I cannot just see it. Why? Because the opacity is 0. It is just basically transparent. So if I put opacity 0 on a button, I'll be able to click on it. I'll be able to interact with it. I'll be able to do everything on it. But I cannot just see it. Why? Because it is transparent. Then we now have display none. Display none is just going to remove it from there entirely, as if there's no image there. You understand? So if you say display none, it is going to hide it. It is not going to keep the space for it. You understand? So you have to know when you use visibility hidden, when you use opacity 0, and when you use display none. Exactly. So I've come towards the coding parts. Okay, CSS debugging. So sometimes you encounter some things that will stress you in CSS. I just want to give you guys some tips. This CSS debugging and CSS tips, they are kind of like together. So the CSS debugging, when you are coding with CSS and you encounter something that maybe you are trying to do something now and it's not working. If it is, what I'll just advise you to do, give it a background color. Give it a background color of red, or border. Give it a border of red. Then you now know, okay, this is what I'm working with. Let me say, for example, now this let me say, for example, this div does not have a background color, right? This div does not have a. Let me move. So let's say, for example, this div does not have a background color. This h1 so let me say, for example, like 5 times, this div does not have a background color. Then I say width. I want the width to be 50%. I say it. I'm expecting something should change now. See, it is 100% by default, and I now want it to be 50%. Nothing change. I'll be like, why did it not change? I'll say 40%. It will not change. You might not know what is happening. You understand? You don't know that. You don't know the problem. You understand? Because they are changing the width. It is not changing. You get? So what should you do? You just give it a background color. You just give it a background color of red or any color that you want. So if it now has, so the width is now 100%. You'll not be able to see what you are working with. Check it. Then you now see width 50%. So you now see that actually it was changing, but you were not just able to see the change. You understand? So different things like this are going to happen. You are just going to encounter different things like this, and you just have to first visualize what you are working with. CSS is all about visualization. I've been dropping many quotes. CSS is all about visualization. So you'll be able to visualize what you are working with, basically. That is why I just added that CSS debugging. So yeah, and CSS tips. There's no one way to code with CSS. There's no one way to do something. Some people use visibility hidden. Some people use opacity 0. There's no one way to do something. Some people like giving everything their own class. Some people like using pseudo selectors. Everything. Some people will use pixels. Some people will use percentage. Some people will use centimeter. Everybody has their own way of doing their own different things. So please don't be rigid. And again, practice. Don't go and start to sit down and read one book or one encyclopedia of CSS that has all the known properties. You now start to read it, you now be like, you now cram everything. That will not help you. Practice. Be replicating sites. Be trying to replicate sites. Or by the time you are watching this video, you should see at least 2 or 3 sites that have two sites that I've replicated on my YouTube channel. This is the only way that you can learn to practice CSS. At least you should see at least 2. I have done Netflix, then eBay. So that Netflix, the audio was not so clear, but still. So please just be practicing. That is the best way. That is the expert advice I can give you on CSS. So thank you very much for coming this far. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. There's one thing in my mind to teach you guys now, and I must teach it. It's box shadow. I just forgot to teach this thing. So I just say margin auto. So I'll save it. So how to add box shadow. This is something that you also like to do. So this is box shadow. So I can say 10 pixels, 5 pixels, 5 pixels black. I will explain this thing. So if I save it, you can see it now has this shadow. So this 10 pixels is for the x-axis, 5 pixels is for the y-axis, then 5 is for how blur it should be. Then this is the color. So if I don't want it to, so I can say, if just like I said 20 pixels, this will now be 20 pixels. You understand? So this is just how to put shadow effect. Then if I say something like 10 pixels, shadow will now be on the right and on the left. Then this blur, if I just say 0, it's going to be very sharp. You can see how sharp it is. If I say 10 pixels, it's going to be very blur. So if I say 0, very sharp. Then like 5 is like okay. Then the color, you can now say red. If I say red, the shadow this thing obviously is going to be red. If I say blue, the shadow is going to be blue. So, and you can also reduce the opacity of this thing. So I can say blue, so it's not going to be like this. You understand? So if I say 0. This blue is 0.2. I can see 0.5, and you guys can see. So just added this shadow effect. So this is what I'm going to show you guys. So please comment, like this video, leave a comment, leave a very nice comment, or a sarcastic comment, or a bad comment that I can learn from. Anything that you want to leave. Like the video too. Share it with your friends, share it with people that are not interested in coding, share it with people that are interested in coding. Even if they don't want to code, at least they'll laugh. I cracked some nice jokes during the course of the video. So thank you very much. Have a nice day.